So today we are going to see the pulse code modulation experiment. So first we'll look at the block diagram details of this PCM. So before we will go in detail about the MATLAB implementation. So this block diagram, what you are observing. So first we have to understand what we mean by this pulse code modulation. So PCM means where we know that our message signal is represented in terms of the discrete signal or sequence of coded pulses that is modulated by the carrier signal. So that is how we are going to get the PCM. So in summary, we can tell that PCM simply consists of a sequence of coded pulses. So that we can say it as a message signal. So how we can get that one? How we can represent our message signal that is continuous in nature into a set of uh, coded pulses. So this is the block diagram you can see here. So first we are going to apply a continuous time, that is our message signal, as input to the low pass filter. So the name suggests it is going to allow the all the low pass frequencies and going to avoid any high frequency noise content. Then comes the sampler. So this sampling is going to cut your continuous time domain signal into discrete samples where the length of or width of each sample is predefined and is going to follow the Nyquist criteria. So the here the important thing we have to remember is that so when you are going to cut or sample the continuous time signal, the rate at which you are doing this process, the sampling rate should be minimum equal to or greater than the twice of the maximum frequency component present in this continuous message signal. Means it should follow the next criteria. So this next criteria we are using here in order to do the sampling process in order to avoid any kind of further aliasing things or overlapping between the samples. Okay. So with the help of sampling, we are converting our continuous time domain signal into discrete signal that will consist of a set of samples. Suppose if this one is your continuous time signal like this. So the low pass filter will avoid any kind of a noise content or high frequency component. Then it will be applied as input to the sampler. So this sampler, what it is doing? It is cutting each of your continuous time signal into discrete samples like that. So this process will continue. So this is where we are going to get this one following the Nyquist criteria. So Nyquist criteria, it will tell that the sampling frequency should be greater than or equal to twice the highest frequency component, that is twice highest frequency component, that is FM, maximum frequency. So then guys, later this sampled signal is quantized. So that quantization can be done by representing each such sample of this discrete signal. We are trying to round it off with the help of here. For example, the each step size we are going to decide by based on this equation. That is the difference between max and minimum voltage divided by the number of levels what we are going to adopt. So this one is a little bit difficult to understand, but let me clear you very clearly that what quantization is going to do. So in quantization, simply we are trying to round off each of this discrete sample. Okay, let me show here. This is, let us consider this is one discrete sample. For example, if this is one discrete sample is there, let us assume. Okay, assume that it has got the value somewhere around 1.875, something like that. So what I told quantization means it is going to round it off. So when you round it off to the first decimal place or second decimal place, so how much you will get? Second decimal place, you will be getting it as 1.88. Suppose if you further, it is up to us. If you further round it off to the first decimal place, it is going to be 1.9. So what is happening here is that by doing the round it off. So suppose if I am going to counter in quantization, what we are doing, you are trying to represent each bit with a certain set of each number with certain set of bits. Suppose if I assume that I am using 3-bit representation for each number. So in this case, I have to represent 4 numbers with 3 bits. Each number with 3 bits. So I got 4 numbers here. So totally I want 12 bits. I want 12 bits here to represent all the 4 numbers. Suppose if I am using 3 bits to represent one number. Now in this case, when you round it off to the second decimal place, in this case, how many numbers I got? My total numbers in the initial stage, it is 4. That is got reduced to 3. Now if I am using the same, that is 3 bits for each number to represent. Now the total bits that I am going to use to represent 3 numbers got reduced from 12 to 9 bits. 9 bits. This is what rounding off. Suppose if you are going to further round it off to first decimal place. Now my total of numbers got reduced from 4 to 3 and 3 to 2. Now I need only 6 bits. Only 6 bits are required. So where 12 bits and where 6 bits. Means actually in real sense what quantizer is doing, it is trying to compress your data, trying to minimize your storage or message, compressing it and going to transmit it. Later encoding is going to do this bit assignment. So that will be done by encoding. So that's how finally you are going to get. So here the sequence of coded pulses at the output of the encoder. So at the output of encoder, you are getting this. So that bit assignment will be done by this encoder. But who is instructing it is as per the how we are going to predetermine this. To what extent you want to compress or round it off. So this is how we are going to assign some rounded off values to each of this sample. This is one sample, just I took an example. Like that you can see here, we have got many samples here. Understanding at the output of the sampler. So at the output of quantizer, you are going to get such rounded off values. Understanding here. Now you are not getting 1.875 at the output of quantizer, you are getting 1.88 or 1.99 for each of the sample. This is just one sample I am taking an example. Like that we will be having all such samples it is happening. For each sample, this process is happening at the output of the quantizer. One sample may be rounded up to 1.9, another next sample, adjacent sample may be rounded up to 2.3, its next adjacent sample may be rounded up to 2.8, like that. Like that, we are getting a set of rounded off numbers, decimal numbers. Encoder, what it is doing, it is converting these decimal numbers to binary. That's how we are getting this sequence of Porter pulses. And step size is determined by this quantizer. And how encoder is going to do that conversion is based on this one condition. Understand? This is about the PCM transmitter. This is just what we are discussing. It is a PCM transmitter. Understanding this one? So next slide we can see it is a receiver. This is PCM receiver. So whatever the encoded signal is there, 11000011, all those things. Here it is coming. From that, we are going to reconstruct the signal and decode it. Decode means it is going to convert your binary to decimal. For example, if you used the binary coding. So at the output of decoder, you will be having decimal equivalent of our signal. Reconstruction filter and destination will give us get back our original signal. Okay, so let us start one by one with the transmitter here. First, you can see here, this is the transmitter, what you are observing. So this is the MATLAB code, guys. We are going to start the coding process here. So CLC close all and clear all. It is going to clear our workspace in the MATLAB and clear all the variables and set your editor free for fresh coding here. So try to remember the variables for which we are going to use. Small n, it will indicate the number of bit, n bit PCM. So how many bit PCM you are going to design, 8 bit or 16 bit or 32 bit, like that. N1, it will indicate the number of samples in a period. So if you cut a continuous time signal, in each sample, what you are getting, how many, in each signal, how many samples you want to have, that is 8 samples for one period. Means small n, it will indicate how many bit PCM system, and N1, it will indicate the number of samples in one period. That too try to remember. In one period, how many samples you are getting. It is like this. So N1, I'm telling, if you take one period, okay. So how many samples you are getting, that you are going to define here. So that we told it as, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, like that. So we are going to define this as 8. Okay. So go for next N1. Do you remember? That is the number of samples were defined for one period. Next, we are going to generate the signal here. As such, we are doing the coding here. So here our generation of signal will start. X, the signal that we are going to generate here, that is an analog signal. With this, the time period, what you are going to, or samples spacing. We'll assume that it is going to start from 0 and going up to 4 times pi value, pi constant, 22 by 7, with a spacing of 2 pi by n1. N1 already we defined it as what is the number of samples in one period. For example, let us assume that n1 is 8. For the present discussion, let us assume that for the time being, both n and n1, let us assume that both are equal to 8 for the time being. Then yes, we'll take it as 8 times sine of x. Whatever the sample spacing you defined in x, I will be taking its sine function and its amplitude is decided by the C8. You can take any value here, that is going to decide plus or minus, that is a peak to peak value, that is S here. Okay, this is the signal generation concept. With only these two steps we can do it. Now we are going to plot this analog and sampled version. So this is a subplot 311. So 311, what it will indicate? So 3 rows, it is like this, guys. I hope you will be knowing this. It is a 3 rows and only one column. This is only one column. Only one column. And here you can see first row, second row, and third row. So what it is telling, subplot 311 means third row, first column. Okay, the first one. The first figure you are going to keep here analog signal with the X label time and Y label amplitude. And in 312 in here, you are going to keep sampled signal. You are going to display the sample signal. So what you are going to use here for continuous analog signal is a continuous time signal. You are going to use a plot signal, plot command. See, remember one thing in MATLAB, plot is always the command that you are going to use to display your signal as a continuous time signal. And the stum command always going to represent your continuous time signal into discrete version. It is like this, guys. You start getting the signal like this. That is the stum it is going to do. So grid down till go on going to display the grids here, X and Y grids. Plot, it is going to show you the continuous time signal. That remember. Stum itself, it is going to show you the sampled version we are going to call. Actually, it is not sampled, but in MATLAB we can show that is a equivalent sampled version of this continuous time signal. For that, we are going to use the stum command. So in this way, we are able to represent generated X continuous time signal by using plot command in the first row. The second row, we are going to represent its equivalent sampled signal by using the stum command. Understanding? This is all about the signal generation, analog and sampled signal. So next you can see the quantization process, the first one. Sampling is done there. Quantization process, already I explained, it is going to round it off. So I am going to choose maximum voltage is 8 and minimum I'll choose it as minus of this, that is a minus 8. And how we are going to decide the step size, quantization step size, that is 8 minus of minus 8, that is going to be 16 divided by L. Okay, the number of levels. So number of levels, how much you decided? Let us L normally will take it as. So how much will take? L you can see here discrete values, L values. So here it is defined here. Okay. So that we can put it here. So divided by L, that is going to decide the step size. So here yeah. So it is going to be divided by L. L, I think normally it is going to be 2 to the power n. It is going to be 256. Now if you take it as 8, it is going to be 256 levels. So 16 by 256 you can calculate, you will come to know. So the part, it is going to decide the width of the total range of these levels. Levels are between max to minimum with this spacing del. Del, it will be deciding the quantization size, step size. So what you can say, the size of each quantization, whatever the width you are getting there. So it is going to range from minimum to max. Now this one, the code, it is going to decide the quantized values. That is going to range from V minimum minus del by 2 to V max plus del by 2. It is going to range from negative peak to positive peak. Then quantize is a command in MATLAB that is going to give you two things, two important things. One, the position, that is index number of quantization value, and Q quantized value. Means it is going to give you each quantization value along with its position clearly. So what is the input you are giving? You are giving input as yes, that is sample signal, and another input you will be giving the part. So whatever the range you have defined for the quantization levels, and the third one, the code, the equation or the range what you set for range of these quantization levels ranging from V minimum minus del by 2 to V max plus del by 2. If you give three as inputs to this quantize function, then it will return you the value of each quantized signal, quantized value along with the position. Now we are going to store the length of the how many indices are there, that will be stored in L1. In L2 it will store the length of the Q, that is the quantized values. So this guys, you remember L1 it will indicate the index and L2 will indicate the quantized value. Okay, so this completes the quantization process. Next we will see how we can further proceed. So here we have stopped in the previous slide. So let us see how we can quantization means it is going to round it off. Okay, so L1, this is L1 here. We are going to set two loops here. For I1 to L1, what is L1? L1 is an index. Okay, the maximum index, whatever you are getting for the all the quantization values, if you refer their positions, that you are going to get the length of the index. So we'll go on checking index of I not equal to 0. It should be non-zero because position should be non-zero. Then we'll assign IND of I equal to IND of I minus 1 and I equal to I plus 1. We'll complete this. This is one separate loop. This is going to ensure that you are going to move to the next position by ensuring that it is a non-zero value. It should be positive. Then you are invoking the second loop with L2, that is a quantization value. Here you are going to take care of this negative value. If it is V minimum minus del by 2, then you are going to assign it as a plus del by 2. So in this way you are going to get the rounding off. How you are going to do that in terms of the coding here. So these two loops are important. So these are the double loops are there. One outer loop for I equal to 1 to L1, that is with respect to index. That is going to take care of transversing each position one by one, starting from 0 to n like this. And second loop inside that one, we are going to take care of we don't have any negative values, that will be compensated with the positive value V minimum plus del by 2. Then we are going to plot in the third position. So here in this one, here you are going to display your quantized signal. That is a Q, it is in the hand of the Q. That is going to display your quantized values. Okay, so that is the output of the quantizer. So outside output of this quantizer, now we will be giving it to the encoder. So encoder, what it is doing, it is simply converting your rounded off values of, that is decimal values, to binary by using this command DE to BI. IND, that is a index position of each quantized values, with the left bit as a most significant bit, that we have to define here. Again, we are going to use L1 and N here in order to represent this the code in the form of the matrix by using this loop. So this is going to give us why you're representing in the matrix form, because in MATLAB everything we have to represent in the matrix. That is will be useful for us to represent in a convenient way. So this we are going to display the encoded signal. So here we are going to complete your PCM transmitter, building a PCM transmitter. Next, in PCM receiver, that is a demodulation, we are going to reshape the signal whatever you have encoded with n and length of coded by n values, and going to convert binary to decimal, that is decoding. Then we are going to get back our quantized values with this equation. Okay, so this will give us the final the plot of Q, that is continuous time signal demodulated signal. So the procedure is very simple. I hope we will be knowing this, how to run this particular code in the MATLAB. Open the MATLAB software, whichever the version will be having, normally 10 or L1 or whichever you got it from the lab. Click on the file menu on menu bar. Click on new YAM file from the file menu. An editor window open, start typing the commands. Now save the file in the directory and click the debug from the menu and run it. So normally what I assumed, I explained this whole the coding concept with the help of the 8-bit PCM system transmitter and receiver design with assuming 8 samples in one period. So finally we are getting the analog signal, that is a 3 by 1 subplot 311, it is 312 313 sample and quantized signals like this. This is we are going to get by using plot command. This we are going to get by the stump command. This is the quantized signal. So these two are separately we are going to plot the encoded and demodulated signals separately. Okay. Now we'll stop.